Where will Kareem Hunt land should he come to Denver? Kareem Hunt. Brinson?
Yeah, I think that when you look at the various landing spots for Kareem Hunt, who is obviously not employed at the current moment, Denver could work. I actually don't know why he's a free agent. I'm kind of surprised by that.
You're surprised he's free agent? Well, the Browns don't want him, it seems like, anymore.
I know, but he's only 27. This guy who led the league in rushing. He may, it may be a case of he wants, he only had 3.8 yards per carry last year, 123 carries for the Browns. Didn't start, has only started 9 games since 2018 when he had the, of course, the off-field stuff and was released by the Chiefs. It's entirely possible that, remember, he was signed by the Browns and John Dorsey, who had drafted him in Kansas City. So you do have a little bit of that stigma still attached, justifiably so. You have a running back who, given the deals that he signed in Cleveland, may want more money than what people want to give to running backs. And Breech, we just talked about with Dalvin Cook, if you're interested in signing a older 2017 guy who was drafted in 2017 running back who has led the league in rushing, has not really had a full-time role most of his career because of injuries or because of splitting time with Nick Chubb, why not just wait and see if Dalvin Cook gets released and sign him instead? Because you'll probably get it.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, that's the issue here, I think, is part of why he's still a free agent. It's not, if Dalvin Cook gets released, now you're competing with Dalvin Cook to get signed. You're competing with Leonard Fournette to get signed.
2017 also.
With Zeke Elliott to get signed. So there's just all these running backs out there.
Mixon is not a guarantee to be on the roster?
Well, that's where I was going to go with the teams that are possible here is, I think this person listed the Broncos because you have Javonte Williams coming off his ACL injury. You don't know what his status is going to be for week 1. If you're the Broncos, you're hoping he's ready, and Kareem Hunt would offer some insurance. So that would be not a crazy signing as long as he's willing to sign for a salary that the Broncos are willing to pay, because they're not going to pay him $7 million to be the second or third running back if Javonte Williams is healthy. The Bengals definitely would be an interesting landing spot. They did brought in Chase Brown to go behind Joe Mixon. So, and they already have Travion Williams, who, the team likes. And so I don't know that they would need Kareem Hunt, but they do. You just don't know how this is going to play out. And if you can get him at a price you like, then yeah, I think you would at least look into him. I don't think the Bengals would sign him though. And then, the other part is there's chatter out of Cleveland that he's lost a step. Brinson, you mentioned his 3.8 yards per carry last year. Before last season, he had never finished under 4.2 yards per carry, and he was averaging 4.7 yards per carry in his career before last season. So this was a noticeable drop, and maybe that's what teams are seeing on film. Hey, this guy doesn't have that quick step anymore. And so, we can kick the tires on someone else before we think about adding Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, and you remember too, last year, even though he signed a 2-year, $12 million deal. He had that 1-year deal in 2020. And I can't remember, I guess he would have signed that during the pandemic. People just weren't weird contracts. Signs a 2-year, $12 million deal with the Browns, plays that out. He's now, past that. These guys who were drafted in 2017 have enough wear and tear on them and are veterans enough where they command a certain amount of money or want a certain amount of money, have certain expectations about what their role is going to be with the team. And teams don't want to meet either of those things. So it just becomes tough. And then you add in the Dalvin Cook factor, maybe the Joe Mixon factor. It's now is not the time to overpay a veteran running back, right? Late May is not when you overpay a veteran running back, particularly one who's had sort of been a little public about his contract demands and has had an off-field issue that caused the team that drafted him to cut him the year after he led the league in rushing. So if you're signing Kareem Hunt, and especially if he's lost a step, it's just not now. I don't think now is when you sign him. I think, what do you sign him to a deal and he tears, something happens in OTAs, maybe after OTAs is when he signs.
Yeah, right. It does feel like it's a training camp, something closer to training camp.